I was thinking, this is like, what is it, episode 11. I was thinking to edit this one, to record this one, and then we make one episode on Instagram live, and then close the season and start a new season, because this was like more like experimental, like we were just trying stuff, different timings of episodes and stuff like this. But yeah, I was thinking to record this episode last officially released, then we do one on Instagram where we talk with people to see what they need us to talk about, so we have so we can make an easier structure for the episodes ahead,
What did you think of Gingy's idea for doing the crit as a YouTube live?
Yeah, wait, what do you...
We were talking of, people were saying one of the things they would like to see is a crit on somebody's work.
Yeah.
I think one of the ways to do it, Gingy suggested, I was telling her about it, and she said, that's a great idea. She said, but make sure it's on YouTube Live.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a very good idea.
Yeah, that's okay, but then what or who are we gonna crit? And it has to be announced in advance.
That's the giveaway.
What giveaway?
You could do a monthly giveaway where people sort of do something along, you give them an idea and you say, okay, so this particular challenge,
yes,
is for you to have your work crit, a detailed crit.
Okay.
And then they do something, and maybe you set up a new hashtag for this crit, and then people sort of, they submit work, and you use you just use an online generator to
pick a winner.
To pick a winner, and then we take that piece of work and we get them to write something. So they say, okay, so this is the work, this is the script, these are the tools. I believe that I am this level, because I think that's really important.
For them to write?
Yeah, because that, if somebody says, oh, I believe I'm an intermediate level, it'll be like, okay, so first of all, you are not an intermediate level. Because at intermediate level, you should be able to do this, 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 and this. So clearly, you have a misguided concept of what an intermediate level work is. Because, it's a brutal crit. It's not, some namby-pamby crit where people are sort of, oh yeah, no, the work's nice, you're doing really well. Oh, that, it's not that.
What? You just dropped the F.
But you want to say to people, just be aware, if you're going to do this, if you're submitting work, be prepared for some brutally honest crit about the work.
No, yeah, I'm up for this.
You're not going to have, Paul is not going to say, this is nice if it's not nice. He's really going to go into it in a lot of detail. And you have a couple options. They can either be present at the crit,
yeah,
to defend themselves.
Wait, it's gonna be constructive critique,
yes,
or not?
Yes.
So if somebody is giving constructive critique, you don't need to defend yourself. Nobody's attacking you. We're just trying to help.
But it's interesting to hear how other people defend their work. Because when I was at art school, we had to put our work up in front of everybody, and then a tutor would stand there and rip the work apart, and then you would have a chance to defend yourself. So why did you choose to do this? Well, I thought that this would work, and blah 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 blah. And you were really trying to defend yourself, and they'd be like, well, it doesn't work because of this. So in your mind, you think that this is working, when in truth and in fact, when it's physically produced, it's not possible to get it to do that. Can you see that? And you really try to get them to understand why what they did not work. Which is very different to saying this didn't work, this didn't work, this didn't work. If they said, oh, I thought it would work, and you then have to say, okay, so explain to me your thought process in how you saw this working. And then they would say this, 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 and this, and you go, right, so there is clearly a disconnect between here and here because you didn't get this part to work, and that's what would have made this work. And so they're like, oh, now I see. Yeah. And you sort of lay it out that way.
Okay, but now, I was thinking, if we do a challenge, then, I mean, probably different people are gonna participate, and I'm not sure, like, it's probably better to, on a one live stream, to critique, I don't know, 5 to 10 people who took part in the challenge, or you want to focus on one person's work?
I just think one person, you know. I think trying to do more than one person is going to be, you'll be rushing it, and there's no point in doing a crit if you're going to rush it.
Okay.
Because then it's not constructive enough. It doesn't help them enough.
But I don't know how interesting. I'm confused now. Like, how long do you think this is gonna be?
45 minutes.
45 minutes to critique one person work?
Oh God, yeah.
What? Oh, the drills are back. Oh my God. Are they drilling? Anyways, okay. You know, but by the way, I'm recording right now and I'm leaving everything because I remember, like, one of the reasons to start the Nibs podcast is because I wanted to document, like, when we speak with each other, and I noticed that, okay, we call each other and then we talk a bit. We don't put this in the podcast and everything becomes too much official, and I think this is a bit getting away from the idea of our talks, because this is part of our talks, and I think people should
just don't put anything with me swearing in it.
No, I'll censor it, but it was cool enough that I managed to record you saying the fabulous word.
don't even put it in.
Why? You're afraid to show yourself?
No, because I only swear with my friends.
Well, I mean, people should, like, the people who listen to us.
They are not my friends.
Oh.
There's a very big difference between sharing content that is meant for you and sharing content that is just meant for sharing it.
So, people who listen to us are not our friends. People are
not.
Probably they're heartbroken. Guys, I'm your friend, don't worry.
If something happened to me, would they help?
You never know.
Exactly. That's the point. You never know. Anyway, some of the other things were how many scripts, poor communication, show respect. Oh, I guess we've sort of been through all of this.
Yes. That's what I'm talking. Like, so today,
I can throw that in the bin. It's been sitting there for like 2 months.
Today it's I think I have written 2 topics. As I said, this is gonna be probably the last official podcast that's gonna come with video and all platforms. Next podcast we're gonna be live. We have to decide the dates that we make it on Instagram.
You want to do a live podcast? You with your potty mouth.
What do you mean?
You swear constantly. How many times do I have to stop you?
That's not true. I'm not swearing in every podcast.
How many times have you had to cut information out?
Come on, I'm editing the podcast myself. I can see if I'm God. Wait, you're getting me confused. My point is, let's decide. I mean, this Sunday comes episode 9. Next Sunday comes episode 9, so there is no point announcing the podcast on this episode that we record right now. But we can decide a date and I'll announce it just on Instagram. And yeah, that should be fine. That should be fun. But anyways, let's put an intro 10 minutes in already. Hi everyone, I'm your host Milenist.
And I'm your host Paul Antonio. And this is where we discuss
everything about calligraphy, lettering and sign painting. And some random stuff. I mean, come on. I think
there's more random stuff than calligraphy and sign painting and lettering.
Not at all. I mean, I noticed, like, there are some things, because, you know, last week I edited like 3 or 4 episodes in a row. So there is a bunch of things that I noticed. First of all, it's really not like I'm not actually a co-host. I'm just the listener here. most of the time I'm just and I was thinking, okay, I don't know if it's okay or not, because anyways, when we speak, I listen a lot, but at the same time I feel like when we're not recording, I speak more to you, and I don't know, is it good or not?
I think it's because, you know, I'm discussing something that's very technical that I've understood for a long time because it's what I've done. You know, there's been times when I would say, oh, because you do this, and you go, I love, you know what I love? I love the confusion that sort of sweeps across your face, and you go, what? And I go, yeah, you do it like this, and you go, what? Really?
I know, but yeah, so just like those are some things that I think and we should focus on for the season 2, because also I need to improve my English, and of course I'm having fun listening to all the stuff, but if I'm not talking, I can't really improve my English, and it's not like I'm having only this podcast. I'm bringing back...
This is not a language podcast, you know.
Of course, but you know actually how many people they declined to come on Calligraphy Masters podcast to share their story because they're like, oh, my English is not that good. I'm like, come on, my English is far from perfect, but I'm recording myself, like making fun out of myself with my English. I don't care. I mean, you said it very well. Those are not English podcasts, and I guess like the biggest amount of people that follow Calligraphy Masters, they don't have the perfect English as well.
No, I mean, English is not their first language, and they you know, and what I think one of the problems with people who speak English as a second language or even a third language is they're comparing their ability to speak the language to their first language. And you know what? If you drop somebody who speaks English as a third language on the street, they can get by, they can have a conversation, they can ask directions. People should never ever be afraid to speak, you know, to speak English or a language that is not theirs, because chances are they're a lot better than they think they are.
Yeah, but you know, I'm not noticing this with me, like, because your English is so perfect and you're also like, you've done academic whatever it was, like this extra fancy English. When I'm editing this
extra fancy, that's
yes.
only writing.
Come on, like, you understand what I mean. But my point is, when I edit the podcast and it's like you talking and I'm like, oh my, and all of a sudden I hear myself, I'm like cringing so much. It's like, why am I even trying to speak? It's like, better be quiet.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, I just needed to share it because it's been inside of me.
So, so those of you listening to this, sort of cringing about your English, don't cringe about your English. You know, the podcasts are great, and one of the aims of the podcasts, not just the Nibs podcast, but you know, the Calligraphy Masters podcast as well, is to get people to get to know you. Mm-hmm. So, you know, if Milen calls you up and asks you to be on the podcast, by all means share your story, because you have no idea how your story might affect somebody else and how it might help them in their journey.
Definitely, and especially with Calligraphy Masters podcast, there seriously been people which, I mean, it's all about sharing their journey in calligraphy or lettering, and there are really people which I'm so much wanting to hear their story and share it with the people, but seriously, a lot of people have declined for this only reason. They're like, no, my talking English is not that good, and I'm like, I hate this moment. So if any of those people is listening to this podcast, please guys, don't decline for this reason. Also, I think I tried to mention earlier, but I'm finally bringing back Calligraphy Masters podcast. Season 2 is coming. First episode with Max from Lettering Daily.
Oh, we love Max.
Yeah, and I have some exciting people for second season, including the Daniel. I'm not sure, Daniel Ree, whatever his name, the person who made the calligraphy for Word of the Rings. Oh, like my mind was blown away. Like,
Daniel's work is beautiful.
Gingy shared this person.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
I was following him, and she was like, "Oh, why don't you something with him?" And I'm like, why? What do you mean? He's like, he made the calligraphy for Lord of the Rings. I'm like, what? I see, I'm following him, but I never knew about this, and I got so extra excited. I think even you see, I asked him to be on the podcast in the comments. I didn't even send him a message. But yeah, he accepted, so this is pretty cool, and there's a lot of exciting people coming on season 2 Calligraphy Masters podcast, so stay tuned, guys. I'm really excited about this. Yeah, we're making a plan for proper episodes, no more pauses on the Nibs podcast. I mean, we've been so bad with it. There are reasons behind why there have been so many pauses of Nibs podcasts. I mean, it's both from my side and Paul's side, different reasons, but yeah, I'm excited to do it properly. I think Paul is excited. For him, it's not a problem. He loves speaking anyway. I just need to give him topics. But yeah, I'm excited about season 2, and it's actually season 2 of both the podcasts. That's pretty cool. But anyways, today I have 2 things that I really want to speak about. One, I was discussing something with Gingy, and I don't remember both, but I just wrote handwriting topic.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know who Gingy is, because Milen and I are talking about Gingy like everybody knows her. So
Gingy is the best. She helps us both.
Gingy's a very good friend of mine, and she has followed me for, I think, 6 years on Instagram. And she recognized that I was struggling a little bit with all the stuff I had on, and she offered to help. And our friendship just sort of blossomed into something quite magical. She's a really great person. She has a very interesting focus on calligraphy, because she and I connected via calligraphy because of the calligraphy and meditation classes. And so my calligraphy and meditation classes are centered around helping people to find peace in their hearts, in their minds, in their souls. And I developed this technique on how breathing and writing work together rhythmically to help you achieve that meditative process. And Gingy's outlook on calligraphy is really about how it helps us recenter and refocus ourselves, and to give ourselves space. Milen and I were talking about some of the issues he was facing with, just doing so much of this stuff on his own. And I'd suggested that he speak with Gingy because she's an excellent listener, and she has a great sort of head for direction and things that most creative people struggle with. So I introduced Gingy to Milen, and she's been a great help, and I'm so happy for that, because it's also given Milen a little bit of space mentally to step back.
Also, I was thinking, I think we spoke in episode 1 or 2 about volunteers, and by all means, guys, if you're listening and if you want to help, there is still much need for people to help. There are people, I mean, if you have video editing skills, that would help a lot, but there are so many things that could be helped. People to engage on the Instagram, comment and like. I mean, I know it sounds very easy, but this is very time consuming. Also, we need people for writing articles, because right now the process of Calligraphy Masters is, I have this idea, sometimes I write stuff, then I send it to Paul to edit it, and with my English, only Paul can edit my articles, but what I mean, this is very time consuming. First I have to write it, then Paul to check it, double check, edit, add some text as well, and this is a long process which could be shortened down if there are more people to help. I know, like, there are people who are focused only on this, writing articles or copywriting, making interviews. If there are such people, if you want to help Calligraphy
we discussed this in one of the earlier podcasts, and I think one of the things you guys need to be made really aware of is, a lot of the time you know, when you see all this stuff happening with Calligraphy Masters, it's really only Milen doing all of this work. And there's a lot to do. Editing the videos takes a long time, putting the content together, coming up with ideas. So Milen and I sat down and we came up with a very comprehensive list of things and people and skills that would really help Calligraphy Masters grow. So if you want to volunteer, I was going to say, if you want to volunteer with Milen or me, just let me know. If you want to volunteer with Milen to help with any of the Calligraphy Master stuff, the podcasts, that kind of thing, we do have a really comprehensive list of things that need to be done.
Yeah,
so that
I think
just send an email.
Yeah, send an email. I think also, like, I'll link the podcast that we spoke about it. I think there is also article on the website. Maybe I should add some stuff because it was some time ago, and yeah, there is still help very much needed, and that's about volunteering. I just wanted to say, like, last episode 8, which was released last week, I'm so happy. Like, this is the best performing episode so far. I know the channel is very small yet. There are probably not even 100 subscribers. So guys, subscribe to Nibs the podcast, share with friends. Feel free to like and comment. Give us comments, you know. If there is a favorite moment from each podcast that you enjoyed or it helped you the most, just drop the timestamp in the comments. This will help us to make content that help and can reach even more people.
Lovely.
And yeah, so besides handwriting, that I was speaking with Gingy, and I don't know what was exactly the topic about handwriting, but I wrote down just handwriting topic. So
the topic you're probably referring to is the difference between handwriting and calligraphy.
Probably. I think also we spoke about this, but yeah, we can speak a bit about this. And there is a second topic which I very passionately want to speak about.
Okay,
and this is CalligraphyVideo account on Instagram, because I'm tired with their I'm trying not to curse. Yeah, there's some issue with this account.
I think the other thing that Gingy might have wanted to talk about, I'm just looking up this account.
CalligraphyVideo.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell my issues with it.
Okay.
But yeah, what do you think it's better to start with? Oh.
The other thing that Gingy might have alluded to with regards to handwriting is how it can work in and of itself as a meditative practice. So we've discussed the differences between calligraphy and handwriting already. Mm-hmm. So I think Milen will probably just link that to the previous discussion that we've had, because there's no point in us sort of going over the same topic. But I could just message Gingy and ask her, you know.
No, I think just speak about handwriting, because, you know, many people have this wrong idea that they see you do some calligraphy and they're, oh, such a beautiful handwriting. Of course, they make the mistake that this is, you know, calligraphy and handwriting. But then there is this another misconception where people think if you do beautiful calligraphy that your handwriting is beautiful as well. And I've tried to explain to people, you know, handwriting is natural. Usually it's not that beautiful because you do it fast. I think there's ways to improve handwriting, of course. Paul can speak about this because I know we've spoken before and he's told me there are things that you can do to improve the handwriting. But I mean, naturally, there are people who naturally write beautiful, of course, but the majority of people is just doctor writing, you know.
But handwriting is not natural.
What do you mean?
You're taught handwriting as a child. That's not natural.
Okay, then.
So the thing about handwriting is this: each country has its own specific script or scripts, which its citizens would have learned. So let's take 3 examples. So in England, the 2 scripts which are taught or were taught historically was an italic-based script and a copperplate-based script. where the copperplate-based script became known as something called ball and stick. So it was a ball and a stick. So you would put a straight line next to a curve, which came out of, you know, the script being on its slant. Italic handwriting developed out of italic broad edge calligraphy, which was brought to England in the 16th century by Elizabeth I's tutor. Now that distilled down through time, and eventually both scripts moved away from being written with pointed flexible quills and broad edge quills to pointed flexible nibs and broad edge nibs to fountain pens with a ball tip and then to monoline tools. So these formal calligraphic scripts distill down into monoline shapes. In France, the French handwriting is very specific. So French handwriting is based on a script from the 18th century called the French Ronde, and it's very French. You see a French handwriting and you're like, that person's French.
What?
Because their handwriting system was so rigid. Now, unfortunately, in the last five or 10 years or so, France is the one that has probably kept a hold of its handwriting more than any other country. Now, I'm only talking about Western countries. I'm not talking about Eastern countries, because of course, you know, once you start going into Japanese script, that's a whole other kettle of fish. The other aspect of handwriting that has been really consistent across the world has been American and Canadian handwriting, because their script is based on Spencerian script, which is then distilled down into Palmer script. So you have this monoline script that is very typical of North America. Now I want to talk about one other aspect of handwriting, and that's the German script. So the Germans originally wrote something called Zuttelnschrift, and this is a really cursive script that evolved out of Fraktur. It's glorious, but of course, at the end of the Second World War, it was sort of disposed of because of propaganda. Now, older German people can write in Zuttelnschrift, and the younger people started to write in a print script. So you'll find lots of Germans use graph paper and they put every letter into a box. Now, this is actually quite difficult to do because you're separating every word into letters.
What?
And each one I mean, it's, you know, that's, you know, some serious Germanic thinking, right? All of these things are prescriptive. So people are taught how to do these things. It's not natural. Writing is not natural. It doesn't come naturally to us. We have to learn how our letters are formed, how they're shaped, and how they're put together to form words. Some people have a greater disposition to better writing because they practice more. They might have more dexterity, and so they have more control over the tools. Some people don't like handwriting, so they don't bother to practice. Now, across the world, handwriting has changed dramatically. And that's affected a lot of dexterity. If you can't write properly...
A lot of what?
Dexterity. You know,
what's that?
This movement in the fingers and the hand.
Okay.
When I used to teach handwriting to kids, a remedial class, one of the problems with handwriting is if you can't hold a tool properly, a pen or a pencil, if you cannot hold a pen or a pencil properly, there's no way you can hold a screwdriver properly. Because it's a rotational movement. So if you, this rotates to this. So if you're screwing something in a screwdriver, that's what you do.
No, you just screw like this.
You don't do this.
Why not? Of course.
Because it's bad for your wrist and the movement doesn't allow the screw to work properly. So if you hold a tool like this, how do you hold a screwdriver?
You want to tell me you screwdriver like this?
And that's what I mean. If you hold a tool like this, this is a poor hold. A lot of people hold their tools like this. One of the problems with this hold is it causes a lot of tension. In the hand here. And because you're holding the tool at the tip, all you're doing is finger movement. There's no scope for muscular movement and hold-on movement. It causes it. So, you know, learning to write correctly is really important. This hold evolved. I don't know how it evolved, But you see a lot of people holding a writing implement like this.
No, there some people they hold it like this. Like,
oh, I mean, some of the crazy holds you see. The problem
like
with the problem with not using a triangular hold is this hold allows you to hold the tool lightly. So I can just pull the tool out of my hand there. This does not. You can't get the tool out of your hand. The problem with these various holds is we've not had enough time holding a tool like this for our anatomy to accommodate it. So people doing this and gripping the tool really tightly, they'll find later on in life they have problems with their hands. Now, I know this is going to cause problems later on because I damaged my hands from excessive writing. Because, you know, when I started my work as a calligrapher, I would be addressing thousands of envelopes a week. And, you know, you're young, you could stay up late at night, you don't need to sleep, you don't need to go out and party because you have work. I'd be working like 72 hours straight, just drinking coffee. And that caused a lot of damage in my hands. So when I try to hold a pen in an incorrect way, the pain centers in my hand start to light up. So I know which muscles are going to cause damage, which muscles are going to be injured, and which muscles are going to cause pain later on. And that's why I developed my PA Scribe tool hold, because I needed to figure out a way to hold the tool that wouldn't hurt my hand. So be really conscious of your tool hold. Now, of course, your tool hold will affect the shape of the letters. Because if you're holding the tool like this, you can't make a big movement. That's it.
You know,
I'm holding the tool like this. You can do all of that.
I'm still having issues. Like, for me, it's very hard to write with what is called
your arm.
Yeah, like you with the whole arm movement. Like, I'm like, how? For me, it's like just finger movements. Like when I made the decision to learn this technique, I would practice it twice a day for an hour. So 2 hours every day just to...
Once in the morning and once in the late afternoon, so that I was training myself to use my arm. Because you're so accustomed to using your fingers, it's your natural default setting. So you will obviously default back to it. When I teach muscular movement, I have a very specific way that I teach. I found the historical muscular movement really difficult to teach because it meant rotating the hand. So we hold the tool like this. Okay, so we hold the tool like this, right? Yeah. Maybe I'll change the view. Shall I change the view?
I mean,
if you a better view.
If you feel like changing, I mean, you have this set. Like what? You just change it in a second. Oh my god! How many cameras do you have?
I have it set up for my class.
How many cameras do you have?
I think I have 4 cameras. So when you hold a tool, most people hold a tool, yeah, and it's facing this direction. Okay, maybe I need to give you another view. Sorry. This view. Let's put this over here. Okay. Right. So this is above. Okay, so when you hold a tool, yeah, most people hold the tool facing this way, okay?
Okay.
So if you're writing copperplate script, oh, you know, the pointed nib class I had last night was great. So if you're writing copperplate script, if you're writing a Roman script, you're facing the direction of the script. If you're writing copperplate script, the nib has to spread in this direction, right?
Yeah.
So the nib has to somehow get over here, right? So what you do is you turn the page so that you're facing the axis of the thing, right? Of the lines. Now, if you're doing muscular movement, when you put your hand on the table, you have to be able to do this. So, you see, look at my sleeve here.
You prepared to write copper plate with an oblique? What?
No. So, look at my sleeve.
Yeah.
You see how my hand is moving in and out of the sleeve? So that is muscular movement. So I'm just moving on the muscle. This is whole arm movement. So the whole arm is moving, right? Historical muscular movement curls the two fingers under there and you hold the tool like so. So you're going from here or here to there. That's a big leap.
Yeah.
Now, there's only so much you can ask people to change their tool hold. So I developed an augmented form of muscular movement because I didn't want to ask my students to relearn this. And my form of muscular movement makes muscular movement a little bit easier. So understanding that then allows you to do whole arm movement. But even when you're doing small movements,
okay, but I never do copper plate. Like I'm doing mostly fracture. What about fracture and?
Okay, so this is Spencerian script, right? Look at how small I'm going to write. You see my arm doing the work? I'm not doing this. It's not my fingers. Now, if you're going to do fracture, right?
This sounds just weird to me. I don't know how to do this. Like, why?
Yeah, but it's one of those things that you have to train to do. You know, it's not... It doesn't come naturally because, like writing, we're not taught to do it naturally.
So, if none of those if none of those comes naturally, why is such a big issue to write with your fingers?
Because that's where we feel most comfortable. That's where we feel we have most control. Okay, so if you're doing fracture, so I'm obviously, you know, I should be at 6 mil, I should draw some lines, and I would be here.
Is this fracture?
Well,
Really? This is traditional fracture, isn't it?
yes, it is.
This is
But
so much
look at-
different.
But you see this massive fracture. I'm using my arms, but look, I'm also using my arm as well to make the movement. I'm not doing this. It's not a finger movement.
I don't know. I feel like I cannot use whole arm movement for my kind of fracture. Like I've tried it. I looked at it.
Okay, okay. Question. When you write on a wall, are you using your fingers?
I mean, this is amazing how you know every time. Like no, like wow.
No.
Okay, wait.
It's only a matter of scaling it back. It's the same movement, but at a smaller scale. So instead of doing this, right?
Yes.
You're doing this. Now look at the movement. So you're doing, let's say you're writing a fracture A. You'd go 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at the whole arm here.
I got the point. I got the
So
point.
writing a small fracture A is the same. It's this. You're not doing this. It's the same movement. You're just scaling it back a little.
That was a very good comparison. Like, I mean, seriously, this. Okay, now I'm gonna think about it differently.
Okay, I'll tell you what. You and I will have a class together on this in a couple of weeks.
Okay, cool. But anyways, we were speaking about handwriting, and I wanted to ask. Like, you say, like each part of the world there is different kind of handwriting. I mean, is it possible to make a class about improving handwriting and not to be a problem where people sign from. Like, let's say I'm
Yes.
from Bulgaria, somebody sign up from America.
Yes.
Are you able still to teach everybody how to improve?
The only problem with that is you need a lot of time for it, because you're working with lots of different scripts. So there are some prescriptive things that you need to do when you're trying to improve your handwriting.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing this across a group of people where they have the same kind of sort of maybe script,
mm-hmm.
you can tell them do this, 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 and this. Now, I taught a handwriting improvement class for adults, and the class was 6 weeks. And once you start getting into the sort of minutiae of the writing, you obviously have to start by getting people to put their letters into groups. And across 10 students, none of them had the same groups. And so it's possible to do it. It just takes a long time, because there are a lot of variations which you have to encompass in order to help everyone.
So they're like, you won't say you won't say it's harder to have a class about handwriting, about improving your handwriting, rather than just any calligraphy class?
Calligraphy and handwriting are very different in that calligraphy is prescriptive. Here are the shapes. This is what you have to do, full stop. With handwriting, it's different in that everyone's handwriting is slightly different. So not just the way the letters look, but also the way in which they are formed. Some people form a simple letter like an I very differently to others. Some people make one stroke and a dot. Some people do a loop and they make a dot. Some people do a loop and they make a circle. Some people start at the bottom, they add a ligature, and then they slant the script, and then they add another ligature. So already with a simple letter that's basically one stroke and a dot, you have 3 variations.
Mm.
Now, when you start moving to more complex letters like a letter O, where do you join the O to the next letter? Is it at the top? Is it at the side? Do you not join it at all? So there are all these things that you have to take into consideration when it comes to helping people to improve their handwriting.
I'm just looking at my handwriting. What the fuck? I'm not gonna show.
Now, let's look at it from a slightly different angle, because I sort of think that Gingy might have been talking about it with regards to using it as a meditative tool.
Handwriting.
Ah, brilliant. Handwriting is an amazing meditation.
What the freak? Like, okay, before we start about this meditation, whatever, I get it, it's very hard to teach different people to improve because blah blah. Okay, let's say, I know there is cursive handwriting, right?
Okay, so what does that mean?
I don't know.
Okay, so the word cursive simply means connected.
So there are no scripts or styles, whatever you call it, in handwriting as it is in calligraphy?
Hang on. So let me just add a little addendum to this, right?
Yes.
Cursive means connected. It doesn't mean not lifting your pen off the page, because that's obviously insane. Because at some point you're going to have to lift the pen off the page, right? Now, a lot of people think cursive writing means the pen needs to stay on the page.
Really?
Both for calligraphy and handwriting. If you are doing formal calligraphy in a cursive script, because copperplate script is sometimes considered cursive, as is Spencerian script, and some italic script is considered cursive as well. If you're doing a cursive script, you're going to have to dip the pen, right? The nib you're going to have to dip the nib into some ink. How are you going to keep the nib on the page if you're going to dip it? So obviously there's a misunderstanding of this word. Now, I do something called tangential touching with my cursive. So tangent just touches the next letter. So when I write, it looks like I've joined up all the letters in one go. Where what I've done is I've just allowed the ligatures just touch each other. So you think that I've done the whole thing in one go, and I've not. So that the writing looks cursive, but it's not a running hand in that the letters are all from one connection. So just be conscious of that. Okay. So now, with regards to this comparison between, are there any handwriting scripts which are calligraphic? Is that what you were asking?
No, like you said, like every country has their unique handwriting. So I was thinking, is there, let's just say copperplate handwriting? I don't know. Not that it's a script, but just in this region they write in this handwriting, in this region they write in this handwriting, that, you know?
Yes.
So I'm asking, are there any scripts in handwriting if they're not natural, as you explained already?
Of course, because, you know, italic handwriting developed out of italic. Palmer script developed out of Spencerian. Zuttelinschrift developed out of Fraktur much earlier. There are some later scripts. I can't remember them off the top of my head what they are, because I don't do enough. But
aren't those scripts for calligraphy? Like, I'm getting confused now.
No, italic handwriting is for it's for writing letters, writing text. It's done with a monoline pen. It can be done with a broad edge nib. There are different conventions to formal italic versus italic handwriting. In some formal italic, okay, so look at John Stevens or Julian Waters or Christopher Honey's. You look at their formal italic, their letters are not joined up, and they tend to be separate letters.
Why is that?
With all of their work, there also tends to be a little bit of tool manipulation, so that the top of the letter is a little bit flatter, and as they come down into the letter, they either press or lean or twist the nib, so the middle is a little bit wider, and as they get narrower, and as they get to the bottom, they flatten it off to match the angle at the top. That's formal calligraphic. I'm not sure if I have a problem with considering it calligraphy, because for me calligraphy is more direct. There's less manipulation of the tool, and maybe it's a sort of higher calligraphic approach, but those letters are separate. Now when you have the letters joined up, that's much more of a cursive form of the script. Whether or not it's handwriting or calligraphy depends on the degree of formality of the script. So lots of calligraphic scripts have spawned handwriting versions of themselves, especially when they convert from a broad edge or pointed flexible tool to a monoline tool.
Okay, let me ask this way. Is there one script for handwriting that's easiest and to learn? Let's say, I don't know, something that's handwriting that can be learned easy and fast, and if it is, which one it is?
No, because it depends on where you're born. Because if you're French, you have a natural disposition to, okay, so I'll give you a really interesting thing that a study that I started, an informal study with my friends.
Okay.
So of course I love historical calligraphy. That's my focus. And I was doing some Fraktur, and one of my friends who is American Italian looked at it and she was like, "Oh, I don't really like that." And I said to her, "Do you know anything about Italy?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, good. Do you know anything about the lettering in Italy?" She said, "No, not at all." I said, "Okay." So I wrote some rotunda and I said, "What about this?" She said, "Oh, no, that's nice." I said, "Okay. So you have a genetic disposition to rotunda." She said, "Why?" I said, "You don't like this." She said, "No, I don't like this. And she was pointing at the Fraktur. So I thought, let me do a little sample of my friends who are German extraction and Italian extraction and French extraction, who know nothing about the writing systems used in their native country, in their ancestral homes. So I would show somebody who is Italian fraktur or batard, and they'd go, oh, no, 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 no. But you show them rotunda, and they go, oh, that's nice. But Germans, you show them rotunda, and they're like, oh, no, 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 that's too big. And you show them fraktur, and they're like, ah, that's nice. And so I started to think, maybe our genetics hand down this information, this passive like or dislike for a script, and we just don't know it. So the first problem with your question is, if you try to teach somebody who is of Italian extraction a German script, they're probably not going to like it. Their blood just does not take to it. So from that point of view, how difficult is it to teach somebody a script that they don't want to learn?
Come on, I mean, if somebody doesn't want to learn specific script, they just simply want...
But the reason they don't want to learn it isn't because there isn't a reason behind it. It's just a feeling. They don't like it because something in their blood tells them they don't like it, and it could be because they were from a country that didn't like this script. So fine. So when it comes to the teaching of a script, of a handwriting script, there isn't really one easy script because people have a natural disposition to a script that their grandparents may have grown up with. Now, Palmer script is an excellent script to learn as a handwriting script. It's a nice running hand, it's fast and it's beautiful. I developed an upright italic script that I teach, which people learn very, very easily because it's very angular, it's very structured, it's very simple to learn. But if you try to learn something slightly more complicated, like French handwriting script is really technical because it's really round, a little bit curly, and it's really beautiful, but it's very rigid in its construct.
Where can I see this Palmer or whatever? I want to learn some good handwriting. I'm tired of my handwriting. My handwriting is just a mix of, like, I don't know, I cannot even describe it. It's
okay, I'll show you the Palmer script.
If I Google it, nothing will show?
You should get some stuff, but you know, I have 2 boxes here of it.
This, I mean, it looks a bit like, it looks to me like Spencerian. I mean...
Yes, well, Spencerian is the base for it.
Okay.
Here are my Spencerian boxes.
Wow. Wow. So guys, if you're watching, let me know in the comments if you want a class about this Palmer script or... Yeah. I mean, why not? I want to attend such thing, so... If there is more interest, maybe Paul will do a class like this.
Okay, so this is a typical Palmer script. Let me... Where's my... the mouse is here. So this is from Brian Walker. So it got a little bit of
so do you
moisture damage. So that's Brian Walker's Palmer script.
You write this with a pointed nib or with a pencil, or it doesn't matter?
No, you just write this with a normal biro.
Normal what?
A ballpoint pen.
Okay. Really? What?
Yeah.
Wow, man! If I'm able to write with a ballpoint pen like this, I'll feel like successful in my life. Seriously, like. I think this is where my love for calligraphy actually started. Like when I was very small, I was looking at all my classmates, how they write, and you know, it was very much influenced by my mother because she had very beautiful handwriting. But since a very young person, I've been always wanting to write beautiful, and still, like, I'm almost 33 years, I still write like, like, not good.
Now, so I call it my PA Scribe geometric italic because it's my own construction. So whenever I say PA Scribe something, it's generally because it's my design, it's my construction. So my PA Scribe geometric italic is super easy to learn. And what I normally do is I teach students this before I teach them Palmer, because it helps them to understand the structure of Parma a little bit better. Because, you know, I sort of believe that it's difficult to teach a slanted script if you don't know what it looks like upright. So there's a sort of system to getting through to Parma. You don't just start on it. Otherwise, the chance of you failing at it is much greater. Right.
Right. So. You need more to talk, like it's been an hour. We speak. I don't think we need to speak so much about handwriting. I mean, if you want, you can go on a few more minutes, but like, yeah.
Now, from a meditative point of view.
Yes, yes.
So I'm going to challenge you to do something.
Me or them?
Oh God, not you, the listeners.
Okay.
I mean, if you choose to do this, this would be brilliant. So, one of the great things about handwriting is finding the time to do it. If you set aside an hour, and already a lot of people are like, gosh, an hour? I don't know, I don't have an hour to sit down and set aside for something. If you set aside an hour to write a letter to someone you love, someone you care about, someone you want to share something with, something personal, and you write them a letter saying, dear so-and-so, I know it's been, you know, probably ages since you've seen me write a letter, but I wanted to tell you, and you know, be honest.
I wanted to tell you that I have improved my handwriting and I'm here just writing just to flex for you to see my beautiful letters.
Well, then you will not be writing this letter, will you?
Yes, I will. I'll send it to myself.
What beautiful handwriting you're talking about? Now, what you'll find is in the first 10 minutes, you'll be really unsteady. The letters won't be nice and they'll be a little bit messy. And as you start to think and write slower, you'll find that you're forming the letters a little bit better. And by the end of the letter writing, so make it a nice long letter, you know, you want like an A4 sheet back and front. You'll find that, you know, you found things to talk about, to write about, and at the end of it, you'll probably feel a lot more relaxed. Because what the writing does is it slows you down. It allows you to breathe a little bit more rhythmically. Now, I've talked about this before. Our cities wouldn't exist if we didn't write. The reason why Ur and Uruk developed in Sumeria is because the Sumerians they developed cuneiform writing. If they didn't have the ability to record how much food they had, there would be no way for them to have a lot of people in a small area without knowing how to feed them. So our cities developed because we were able to write. Writing is a seminal part of being human. Now, of course, there are tribes in the forest where they don't write, but they are deeply connected to the earth. When we write, we connect to our heart. And you know, if you believe in the flow of energy, and the heart chakra opens up when you write. And by writing rhythmically and breathing rhythmically, you generate a meditative field around you. And that meditative field starts to alter the way your body is coping with stress. So writing is an amazing form of meditation. The other reason it's so good as a meditative form is because it gives you something to focus on. If I tell you, oh, go into a guided meditation, most people struggle with guided meditation. So if they're meditating on their own, they can't focus or open their minds because there are too many thoughts in their head. Writing causes you to focus on the act of writing, and in focusing on that act, it gives you a focal point. So writing is really, really important for helping us to heal, for helping us to become relaxed. One of the ways that I help my students and my followers and some of my clients who I do healing with is I get them to write a letter to themselves. write about a problem
that's what I said earlier. I'll write to myself.
Yeah, but write about a problem that you're experiencing. And really be honest. You're not sharing the letter with anyone. And that letter is generally very difficult for them to do. But at the end of it, they feel a really sort of cathartic release because they've written the problem out of themselves, or they've put the problem into its physical form. It's not just running around in their heads.
I have had so many times, like, you know how much depression I had. You never told me to do this.
Because you would never do it.
What do you mean? Like, now that you're saying it, I'm like...
I had you in a class.
I mean, I was not that
I
bad.
had you sitting in a classroom with me, just writing straight lines, and you went crazy. The only thing you didn't do was just throw everything off the shelves and stamp on it and scream. You wouldn't sit there and just let it happen.
You're giving a wrong idea to people about me. This.
I'm giving people a little bit of an insight into you.
I don't know.
But honestly, if you want to learn Palmer, I will teach you.
Yes, I want to. Like, I want to write beautiful.
And I will also teach you muscular and whole arm movement. You know, I don't even know why I'm offering to teach you this. I sent you those prerequisite videos. All you have to do is practice with those videos.
Wow. Hopefully soon. You know, like end of the month I'm moving.
Yes, I know.
I should be feeling better to work and write. Like, in this place, I almost never written anything here. It's just, nothing is... I don't feel okay to write here. Like, my table, nothing is okay for calligraphy. But, yeah. Next place. My foot got numb. Oh, shit. Okay. You have to... No more handwriting. That's been about handwriting. Even if you want to listen more, that's no more, guys. Sorry. Now, I have... Like, really, this is... It's more me speaking with Paul. Like, I don't care who likes what I'm about to say or whatever. I just feel like this and I need to speak about it. Like, I've written about it on Calligraphy Masters a few times. It's about CalligraphyVideo. I don't know who knows this profile, who not, but I don't like them. I don't like them. I'm super annoyed by these guys. And usually I'm a person who tries to unite the calligraphy community. I'm always up to work with the people of different communities that run similar pages to Calligraphy Masters. But CalligraphyVideo, man, I'm so furious when it comes to these guys. And
okay, so why?
Why? Because
yes.
I've noticed, like, many times they just copy whatever I share, you know, and it's annoying because sometimes I can spend 1, 2, 3, 4 hours just to find something that it's worth sharing, you know, that I think it will be either inspiring or helping people, and for them, like, I spend hours and hours of work, and for them it's just a second. They come, they see what's booming on my profile, and they just reshare it. Of course.
Okay, well, I'll tell you something. I stopped following them because quite a lot of their videos started to be things that were not calligraphy related.
But that will look, just let me explain, because there are so many things that I'm pissed about this profile. Seriously, guys, it's not... First, I'm pissed because they have 7 point some millions. Of course, I'm pissed. You know, I spend hours and hours, and you see where is Calligraphy Masters. It's not about the numbers, but when somebody like this comes, and if I spend, let's say, 2 months for like 4 posts, it takes them 4 minutes to just copy what I've done. And it's, I don't care, you know, when somebody is featured on their profile, it gives good exposure for the calligraphers. That's fine, I'm up for this. But it annoys me because they copy me. Whenever I've tried to contact them, nobody is answering back. And you cannot find even who is running this account. It could be one person, it could be many people, but they stay hidden, you know, which is not cool. Another thing, now lately I see they started giving credits to the people that reshare, but this has been pissing me so much. They copy and they don't even give proper credits to people. That's how they build this huge account. And you know, they just put some random stuff there. That has nothing to do with calligraphy, which is annoying. Yeah, I see now they've put in their title calligraphy and memes. Wow, you know. And I mean, if you do memes, I do memes, you know. I have no problem. It's just some random stuff that has nothing to do with calligraphy. So it's annoying somebody to name them calligraphy video and just...
Okay, so let's look at this a little bit objectively.
Yes, go on. Like, I wanted your feedback, because at one point I was like, is it like, am I so crazy?
Do you really care?
It annoys me. I'm really annoyed.
I can see that it annoys you, but do you really care about it?
Well, at some point I do, because you know how much I put for calligraphy.
Of course,
masters.
I know how much you put into your ideas.
And when I see all my work that I put in, and then I see my numbers, of course, I've said not once, like I don't care about numbers. But at the same time, when you see somebody who is copying you constantly,
stealing your material and
you know, guys, you know how I discovered that they really copy from me. It was like, okay, many accounts. They discover people first on Calligraphy Masters, and from there on they reshare those artists. That's fine. But what I did was like, I don't know, 1 or 2 years ago, I stopped posting the newest stuff for artists. I go in some artists, I go deep, like I find a post from 1 or 2 years ago, I repost it. There is no reason for anyone to discover this post right now at the same time like me. I post this something that I found like deep in their profile, and you see them copy again. Like they pick the specific which I found and they copying it. This is annoying, you know. Like, as I said, I spend the time to research, to find worthy content for the people following, and somebody comes, pick it, and it's easy work for them, you know.
Of course it is.
And it's annoying. They have 7-something million followers. I don't care about numbers, but damn, I wish Calligraphy Masters was with those numbers. You see how annoyed I am? I can't even speak.
Just take a breath, Milan. Just take a breath.
So, what do you think? Am I wrong to be feeling this way, or what?
I think you have every reason to be angry, because they should not be stealing content that you've put up.
I mean, it's...
Because, you know, I know you, and I know that you've taken, you know, how long it takes you to come up with the ideas and to put things together and to make sure that you're really putting the thought process in so that your followers are benefiting from what you're posting. And for somebody to take the same thing that you have been doing research on and just post it without any care or even any recognition for the fact that they found it on your profile is really quite insulting.
I mean, it's not...
And so you do have every reason to be upset. But of course, the other thing that you need to consider is the difference in your demographics. You know, your followers follow you because of who you are, what you present to them, and the level of work that you put into the followers. And why do their followers follow them?
I have no idea, you know, and I even see some calligraphers who I like, some of them are even my friends, and I see them following this page, and this also makes me like furious, like, I don't know.
You can't dictate who follows what.
Of course, no, that's not what I mean. I'm just, I don't know. I really, I have a problem with myself.
I think we might need to sit down and have a conversation about this, and rather than you just having a rant about it.
No, it's not a rant.
There is obviously some other stuff here that's happening that I think, you know, talking through what's happening might be a little less a little less unnerving for you.
I don't know. You know, it's like you said, it's not really stealing, because I'm also resharing stuff which is not mine. You know,
yeah, but if you've gone through somebody's profile back into the last 2 years to share it, and they've just shared it, that is like stealing.
Please,
they've not done the research.
Go on Calligraphy Master's profile now, see the latest 2 posts, go on their feed, you know, and this is, and then see the dates which my last posts were posted, and see theirs. Like, they are not copying anything. I'm just crazy, you know. So guys, don't get me wrong. I'm happy like that they give you even more exposure. I'm not happy how they deal with their stuff. I'm not happy that there is not any passion behind this profile. I mean, they just post all kinds of random stuff which just brings views and followers. Of course, I also do stuff from time to time like this, but I'm doing it in the calligraphy field. I can post memes, but they're about calligraphy. I'm not just gonna put some random stuff just because it's gonna generate views and followers, and this is annoying. I'm annoyed. I'm not right to be annoyed, I don't know.
I think you are right to be annoyed because of what they're doing, because of how they're doing it. But, you know, there are other considerations. You know, I post work that I think will help my followers. Because, but you know, I'm making content all the time. Yes. Now, if somebody takes that content and shares it, they will see a side of me that they don't think exists.
I mean, I'm sharing your content, I know, you never have.
Yes, but you and I talk about this all the time.
Yes.
You know, attribution is really important because people are making content. Even if you are reposting something that somebody else posted, you should say, oh, I saw this on this page and I thought you might like it. Because, you know, it's all about sharing within the community and being honest. And I think integrity is a big part of the problem here. And there is no integrity in the way that they're sharing this. If you've spent time digging through somebody's profile and then they just go and they share that, then it doesn't show that they really care about putting in the effort for their community. But, you know, how does that bother you? You know, I know for me, I share what I share and I focus on the content because my content helps my followers get better. So my focus is slightly different to yours. And, you know, of course, I wish I had more numbers, but you know what? My real care is the fact that my followers are benefiting from my content, and that's what really matters to me.
You know, that's true. Like, I also, like, I spoke about this on story, and there's some people that we opened conversations about it, so I know about it. Like, you're right. I just wanted to take it out of me. That's the only reason I wanted to speak, because I know I shouldn't care. I shouldn't even watch them, but that's something that's been inside of me for a long time. I just wanted to get it out.
I disagree with you, Milan. I disagree with you. You should care because you've taken your time to do the research and they've not. They've just basically copied it from you, and that's not fair.
But as you said,
that shows a level of it almost shows a level of mistrust, and that's not something you really want in the community.
Yeah.
So I'm inclined to sort of agree with you on this.
I mean,
and it's a shame because, you know, for such a big account, they should really be engaging with their followers. Do they engage with them? Oh, I'm not going to look them up. I don't have time for this nonsense.
I don't think so. Like
I have enough on my plate to deal with, and I don't really want to deal with, you know, looking at their nonsense anymore. So, you know what? Sometimes you just have to walk away from stuff. Otherwise, it's not worth it. Energetically, it's not worth it.
Yeah, as you said, I shouldn't care. I just should focus on what I do for the people who I do.
Yeah.
But since it's been bothering me for a long time, I just wanted to get it out. Of course, I agree. I should focus on Calligraphy Masters community. It's true. I took it out. I'm not gonna speak about it again unless they provoke me in some way. I hope not. I'm not here to make problems in calligraphy community, but for me this is a problem and I had to speak about it.
Okay.
That's it. And yeah, I think that's it for today as well. It's like 1 hour, 20 minutes almost. Wow. Thank you guys for watching, for listening. There is 3 more hoodies of this one. Very high quality, super premium, super limited. There is also a special discount code only for Nibs podcast listeners. It's 25%. Usually the discounts are either 50 or 20, but check the description. There is special discount code for you guys, the listeners of Nibs the podcast, on all products. And I'm not gonna announce the live Instagram here because by the time you're watching this and this, it's gonna be over. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Let us know what's your favorite moment from this podcast. And as always, keep writing
accurately.
Woo.